One day, two kids named Amina and Jude were outside trying to climb a tree. Now, the first branch was a little bit higher than they thought, so they had to work together to be able to try and reach it. "All right, Jude, I'll lift you up onto my shoulders so that you can reach." Jude stretched up, and Amina held him higher and higher until... "I can't quite reach it," said Jude. "Oh," said Amina as she lowered him back down. "I really wanted to be able to climb this tree. It looks like a really fun one." "Yeah," said Jude. "Down here," said a voice. "What? Who said that?" said Amina. She started looking around the tree, but she couldn't see anyone. Jude was looking around too. "Down here," said the voice. They looked down right at the base of the tree, and there was a tiny little girl. Who are you?" said Amina. "My name's Gloria," said the girl. Hi, Gloria. What are you doing?" "Well, are you kids trying to climb this tree?" We are," said Amina. "Well, the best way to climb a tree is actually from the inside." "The inside?" said Amina. "Yeah," said Gloria. "Do you want to come?" How do we get inside the tree?" "Through this door just here," said Gloria, pointing to a tiny, tiny, tiny door in the bottom of the tree that the kids hadn't even seen before. "But we're not going to fit in there," said Amina. "Yeah," said Jude. "We won't fit." "Well, you will in a second," said Gloria. Gloria ran over to their feet, and then she grabbed hold of their shoes. Then she started untying Amina's shoelaces. "What are you doing?" said Amina. "You need the special shoelaces," said Gloria. "Special shoelaces," she said. "Just watch." In no time at all, Gloria had re-tied Amina's shoes, and when she tied up the last knot, Amina started to shrink. "Whoa! I'm getting smaller," she said, until she was teeny tiny, just like Gloria. "What about Jude? His shoes have Velcro." Said Gloria, thinking, I think we have some of that." She raced back inside the door of the tree and came back out with some funny-looking Velcro. It was purple and pink and funny colours. Just hold still, Jude," said Gloria. And as she raced around the outside, she strapped some new Velcro around his whole feet. And when she did the last little bit of Velcro, Jude shrunk down as well. "All right, are you ready to go inside?" said Gloria. I think so," said Amina. "I'm ready," said Jude. So Gloria opened the door and the kids walked inside. They weren't really quite sure what they were expecting as they walked in, but inside was nothing like what they expected. It didn't even look like a tree inside at all. It looked like some kind of machine. "What is going on in here?" said Amina. "Well," said Gloria, "this tree, it's not actually really a tree." "What? This tree's been here for ages." "Yeah, we've been working on this invention for a long time," said Gloria. "Invention?" said Amina. What's it for?" "Well, it's actually... How about instead of telling you, I show you?" "Oh, okay," said the kids. "Come on," said Gloria. "Let's go this way first." So Gloria grabbed the kids by the hands and they started running through into the middle of the tree invention. "All right," said Gloria. "I'll show you the stuff that's down here first." She raced around and started showing the kids. "So, this is the part that does the digging." "Digging? What for?" said Amina. "You'll see," said Gloria. "Have a look." They looked around, and sure enough, there were lots of little shovels that seemed to have little holes in the side of the tree that they were ready to poke out. They were all connected to some kind of big motor in the middle that seemed to control them all. There was also some kind of wiring that went up to the next level. "Where does the wiring go?" said Amina. "Ah, yes, that is an important part. Come on, Jude." "Coming," said Jude. So Gloria, Jude, and Amina all went up the secret ladder into the next floor inside the tree. On the next level, there was lots of screens everywhere. They had lots of bars and graphs and all kinds of strange meters. There was lots of things going on. "What is all this stuff?" said Amina. "Well, this is the part that actually does the locating, to work out what area is actually going to be best to do the digging, making sure that it has all the right things in the right areas so that the things that we do the digging for and we put in the digging holes actually do what they're meant to do." "But what are the things?" said Amina. "Oh, well, I can't quite tell you that yet," said Gloria. "Well, when are you going to tell us?" said Jude. "You'll see," said Gloria. "Come on, next level." "Okay," said Amina. So they climbed up the ladder into the next level. This time, they were very surprised. On the next level inside the tree, there was a lot of activity going on. There were lots of little Are they acorns? Said Jude. They are acorns, said Gloria. Why are they walking and why do they have arms? Said Amina. Well, how are they going to do their job if they can't walk and they don't have arms? Amina was a little bit confused, but she watched. As the acorns started walking around, they were collecting little tiny things out of a box, and then they were putting them into these little tubes together, and then they were putting those tubes inside some kind of big... What is that? It's like a giant blanket, said Gloria. What's it for? It keeps the things inside nice and warm. What are the things inside? Oh, I can't tell you that yet, said Gloria. The acorns laughed and they kept doing their work faster and faster, working around inside the tree, collecting, popping them in the little tubes and putting them inside the giant blanket thing. The kids were very, very confused. Next level, said Gloria. How many levels are there, said Amina. You'll see, said Gloria. So the kids followed Gloria up the secret ladder into the next level. Whoa, said Amina as she got up into the next level. It's so bright in here. She looked around and there were holes in the walls everywhere, and there was mirrors inside the room that seemed to be collecting all the light and shining it down on one little area. What's it doing? Said Amina. Well, they need sunlight. What needs sunlight? Said Amina. Well, I guess I can tell you now, said Gloria. Or maybe I'll show you. Watch, she said. As Amina and Jude were watching, all of a sudden they saw some tiny green leaves start to pop up from where the sunlight was. Are they plants? Said Amina. Yes, said Gloria. Not just plants, they're going to be trees. Trees? What? You're growing trees inside a tree? Is that what the digging's for? Are you going to be planting the trees? I'm not going to be planting them, said Gloria. Who is? Said Amina. You are, said Gloria. What? Said Amina. Would you like to plant the first set of trees? Really? But they're not even really grown yet. Have another look, said Gloria. Jude and Amina looked back down and sure enough, the tiny little leaves that were first popping through were now little saplings. How are you doing all this? Well, that's what we've been working on, said Gloria. We've made a very special tree which is purpose designed for planting and growing new trees. That's amazing, said Amina. Yeah, I know, said Gloria. It's taken a lot of work, but I think it's ready. Are you ready to help us go plant some trees? Hooray, said Amina. Me too, said Jude. All right. Next level, said Gloria. When they climbed up to the next level, they realised they were finally at the top of the tree. And the top of the tree actually had all the controls to be able to drive the tree. I've never driven a tree before, said Amina. I don't think anyone's ever driven a tree before, said Gloria. But there's a first for everything. All right, that's the driver's seat. So Amina sat down. She looked at all the different controls. How do I work this? Well, said Gloria, see this one here? This one makes it go forward. This one makes it go backwards. This one makes it fly like a rocket. Fly like a rocket, said Amina. Well, we have to get to the right place for planting trees, said Gloria. Oh, I guess you're right. And this one, when you press it, it will start planting. Okay, said Amina. Let's go. So, Amina, Jude and Gloria all strapped themselves into the seats inside the main part at the top of the tree. Then Amina pressed the rocket button and the tree blasted off into the sky. It flew around through the air until they found a big open area that looked like it needed some new trees. There was dirt everywhere, but the trees were all missing. That looks like a great spot, said Gloria. Bring it down. Okay, said Amina. So Amina lowered the tree down into the middle of the dirt. Then she started to move the controls. The tree started to walk around backwards and forwards. Then she started to press the buttons on the side. All of a sudden, the diggers started coming out and it started digging tiny little holes everywhere around the place. Dig, 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 dig. And then they started planting the trees. Their arms inside the trees started popping out and they started putting all the little trees in the little holes that had just been dug. The acorns laughed and smiled as they watched out through the windows as all their little trees that they had been working on were now getting planted in the ground. In no time at all, there was tiny little trees everywhere. All right, make sure that you go straight up so that we don't squash any on the way out, said Gloria. Okay, said Amina, but what about the rocket blast? Will that hurt the plants? No, it's a very special tree that uses a very special rocket blast to make sure that it doesn't burn any of the new little trees. Okay, said Amina, and she pressed the button. When they got nice and high, Gloria said, all right, pause here for a second. Why? Well, I didn't show you the level below ground when we were looking at the tree. What's in the level below ground? Said Jude. Well, press the big blue button and see, said Gloria. So Jude went over and pressed the big blue button. When he did, the tree started to spin. Whoa, I'm gonna get dizzy, said Jude. Yeah, me too, said Amina. Watch, said Gloria. As they watched, rain started to sprinkle out the bottom of the tree. It rained down on all the newly planted plants. The kids were amazed. And we mixed something special in with the water, said Gloria. What is it? Said Amina. It's a special growing pixie dust that we borrowed from one of Peach's friends. They watched and the trees started to grow. In no time at all, they were almost as big as Jude and Amina. Look at them all. Now we'll leave them all to grow, said Gloria. Hooray, said the kids. Let's fly home, said Gloria. So Amina and Jude and Gloria buckled their seatbelts once more and flew all the way back to Amina and Jude's house. When they landed back in the same spot, Amina laughed. Well, does that mean that you're going to need to take this tree away now? No, said Gloria. We've been working on lots of trees like this one. We'll save this one just for you. We might pop past it sometime and ask you to come help us plant some more trees. Is that okay? Yay, said the kids. Can we still climb it while it's here? Of course you can. And watch this, said Gloria. She pressed one button and the branch that was too high came down lower and lower, and then some more branches popped out the side. Now you should be able to get to the top pretty easy, said Gloria. Thanks, Gloria, said the kids. They walked back out the tiny little hole in the bottom of the tree. When they were back outside, Gloria undid their shoelaces and they both went back to normal size. As they turned to walk back inside the house, their mum came to the door. Hey, kids, did that tree get some extra branches? She said, looking at the tree. Well, said Amina, I don't think you'd believe us, even if we told you. And that is the end of the story. This episode is brought to you by Gloria's Tree Inside a Tree Creations. If you have an area that needs a whole bunch of new trees planted, call us and we'll send one of our special trees to your big empty paddock to plant a whole bunch of new ones. We can pick any type you like. We hope you've been enjoying the Silly Stories for Kids. Head over to sillystoriesforkids.com to find out more about what's going on with the podcast. This has been me, Gloria, and me, Sam. We'll see you soon.